Hey guys, it's Waves here, 13th of September 2018, just approaching 6 p.m. BST. Alright, so a long time. Just came back from holiday yesterday, so very keen to give you guys an update on what I've been seeing in the markets. Been away, had to experience a few real waves just for a change, but feeling refreshed now. I'm ready to get straight back into it. I'm really happy with my wave count that I've been discussing, and it's been tested for the first time, held really nicely. So we're going to discuss that in this video. We're going to discuss where price is likely to go from here. We'll give a little bit of an explanation about what's happened over the last week or so. Alright, so we've got Bitcoin on the daily chart right now. This is should be log scale. Yeah, so we're on the log scale. And first of all, what I'll do, I'll just go over the long-term wave count, just in case there's any new watchers here, or just as a recap for any of those that have been watching for some time. So I've been drawing this as a WXY count, with this first three waves down being our W. X wave was a big triangle, so descending triangle, this being our base here, these lower highs forming our descending triangles. This was A, B, C, D, and E. So this was the end of our X wave. And then we've started our Y wave. So this was a real test. I wanted to see it hold strong. If you watched my previous video, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I was saying that this needs to hold if this downward trend is to hold. And I was saying 7,500. I didn't want to see price going above 7,500, as I felt that would invalidate this pitchfork. So when we draw pitchforks, once we have our first two waves, we can draw a pitchfork. So it was quite nice to finally call this an X wave, which finished with this descending triangle, because then we had our first two waves. We had our W in and we had our X wave in. That then allows you to draw some trend lines, which we can then expect price to adhere to. And this was the first test of it right here. Held really nicely, and this is what, for me, confirms that smart money are really respecting this setup. So it gives a lot of validation for that interpretation. So what should we look at first? So let's have a look at, let's zoom in a little bit. So let's go on the 4 hourly. And in fact, let's go on the hourly, make it a little bit more clear, because I've got some labels on here. Now, I had talked about this before. I think, it was through Twitter I had drawn these labels. And what I was looking at was a WXY setup here. So basically, this is where our major X wave finished. Since then, we were in Y wave, which has made its initial wave down. And then it retraced, and I was saying it's not going to. It came up to 74.30. That was the highest point it came up to, I believe. And I was saying that it can't go above 7,500. It wasn't going to go above this line, because that would invalidate this downtrend. And so you can see. Look how dramatically price dropped following this. Yeah, really. Very nice price action to see there. So just to explain this wave count first of all, so we had an A, B, C, followed by this X wave. I'm not sure many people saw this, but I could see the highs becoming lower and the lows becoming higher, and you got this contracting symmetrical wedge here. So you've got your A, B, C, D, E, and then you got a further three waves up. So that's your final Y wave. And you can see there is a nice Fibonacci relationship. So if this was our ABC of our Y wave, wave C, it's a 1.382 extension of wave A. So that was a very nice linear place for this Y wave to finish. And then we saw price shoot down, which I was very happy to see. Okay, from there, it's a little bit hazy as to how we can describe this wave count. There's different ways of counting it, and in fact we will have to zoom in even further. Probably best, let's go to the 15-minute first of all. It's still not very clear there. We'll have to go to the 5-minute. Now, there's different ways of interpreting this. Now, we're looking at Bitstamp. Other data sets may show it differently, but this wave is higher than that wave. So this is where we should really start our wave count. Now, I've got this as a 1, 2, and then of a lower degree, this is another wave, 1 and 2. So the way I've counted it, first of all, this is the best wave count that I could get using Fibonacci to ensure that the ratios between the waves are correct. So I've got this as a 1, 2, and then this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make the end of wave 3. Then we have a running flat, A, B, C to make wave 4, and then this was wave 5 down. And we can see wave 5 is often has a Fibonacci relationship with waves 0 to 3. So this is our 0, and then wave 3 came to here, and wave 5 started here after our running flat wave 4 finished. You can see it was a 1.382 extension. So this is the way I've counted it. I've tried counting lots of different ways. So as I say, that was a wave 1, 2. I wasn't happy to call this wave 1 finishing here because it would look very 3-wave-ish. So I wasn't happy to call it that. Alternatively, you could say this is a wave 1, and then this was a complex wave 2, being some kind of a running flat, perhaps an A, B, C. That's another way of looking at it. But I found the best Fibonacci relationships are with the labeling that I've shown here, which means that the bottom was here. And that's interesting, that's very important because it determines what kind of shape we're forming here. So I'm saying the bottom of this impulse down ended here, which means that anything after, if this is now looking what I would say to be an expanded flat, so possibly an A, B, C to come higher. At this point I was definitely thinking it was going to be an expanded flat, but I was expecting the C wave to come up around here, but it's actually become a lot more drawn out and it's a lot more prolonged, which makes me question it slightly. So first of all, if this was our wave A, our B wave has a nice relationship. It's a 1.618 extension of wave A, and then if we're in an expanded flat setup, you'd expect C wave to be a 2.618 extension of wave A, which would bring us to around the 6800 mark. If we can just quickly put a label there just so we have an idea of where that is. So yeah, if you've got A, B and C, so you often get these Fibonacci relationships whereby the C wave is one extra Fibonacci extension than the B wave. So if the B wave is a 1.236 extension of wave A, you can expect wave C to be a 1.382 extension of wave A. Alternatively, if wave B is a 1.382 extension of wave A, you can expect C wave to be a 1.618 extension of wave A. However, in this case, we've got wave B being a 1.618 extension of wave A, which means the next fib extension would be the 2.618. And that's why that would be my projected target if this was to be an expanded flat. So that's just something to think about first of all. So we always try to find a confluence of Fibonacci levels. So if we do a Fibonacci retracement now from the beginning here, and then this was the end of our impulse, so that'll be where we draw retracement to. And you can see here we've got a 50% retracement, which is close to this 67.92 mark. So around 68.20, 28. So perhaps, certainly around here, there could be an opportunity to short. That's one way of looking at it. The other way, I know a lot of people, they wouldn't look at the Fibonacci relationships between these minor waves, and they would just say perhaps this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we've gone into a retracement. They'll say this is our A, B, and C, and what they'll be looking for again is a Fibonacci relationship where C perhaps may come up to the 1.382 or the 1.618, and again they would look at their Fibonacci retracement from the top here, and then the bottom would now be here, and then you look for a confluence, and there's a very nice confluence here where C would be a 1.236 extension of wave A. So this is A, the C wave comes to here, and this is a 38.2% retracement of the whole move down. So there is a nice confluence there. Alternatively, there's a bit of a confluence here also at the 50% retracement. You've also got the C wave being a 1.618 extension of wave A. So that's another place to look out for. So certainly around this 6,700 level, 6,700 to 6,800, or this 6,600. So if we just plot another price tag there, 6,600, and the other one was a bit of a range between 6,700 and 6,800. So a few different places where it could potentially roll over. Alternatively, it could roll over any moment, because now this has formed a one-to-one relationship, hence why it's not suddenly shooting above this level. So it could roll over even from here. Don't forget, this was a very impulsive move down, so we may just get a shallow retracement. So I would not be surprised if it just rolled over rather than testing these potential targets right here. So let's just clean this up slightly. All right. So yeah, it is difficult to determine where it will retrace to. Really, this was the main short here, because this was where I got in, purely because of the fact that there was a very nice setup with it testing this pitchfork and the completion of this correction pattern. So very nice confluence of indicators there with using pitchfork and Elliott wave. Now we're a little bit in no man's land here now, because if we look at the pitchfork on the 4-hourly, we're kind of in between. We've lost our risk reward. If we were to get into a short now, really you'd have to put your stop again above this line at around 7,100. That said, it's not the worst trade, because I am expecting prices to come down to around the minimum of around 4,300. But really, if you didn't get in here, the next best opportunity, in my opinion, would be to wait for a break of 5,900. That's where our major horizontal resistance lies. We just quickly plot that one on. So it's really around 5,800. I think we can plot it a bit higher, where that W wave finished. This W here. So yeah, this is our main resistance level, is 5,900. So a break of that, you could either trade the breakout or wait for a retest. That's two ways of going about it. If we just go quickly on the daily to look at what happened in 2014, we saw exactly the same picture here. I've labeled it the same way. This was our W, then the X wave. As I've mentioned in previous videos, it's not as pretty as what's been happening recently. This X wave is still a triangle, but not as regular. So this would be our A, B, C, D, and E. Base of the triangle I've drawn here. And I would say that we are currently here. I know it's difficult to see on the daily time frame, but we've basically come down, bounced a little bit, and now we're waiting to roll over and actually go beneath this very significant line. So what I'm saying is, you could wait for the breakout, set an order below here, or you could wait for price to come back and just retest this line, which it almost always will do. So especially when it's been such a significant line for such a long time. So yeah, there's two ways to really get in on the trade. At the moment, it's not the best time to short, in my opinion. Just because you've lost the risk reward, we don't know how high the bounce will be. As I say, it could always come up to around 7100, although my targets are, as I've discussed, using those Fibonacci confluence levels there. Yeah, so that's the way I'm looking at things, really. So it could get a bit of a bounce to around 6600 all the way up to 6800. So I've shown the ways in which it could play out like that. And it really requires looking at these shorter time frames, 15-minute, even the 5-minute, looking for a switch in the trend, really. So yeah, that's so I've discussed my macro counts, the main WXY. Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, my forecast using this WXY count would be projecting Y to be a 0.382 extension of wave W, which would be to around this 3200 mark here. So if we bring this across, probably I'll be looking for a confluence with this pitchfork median line here. So it could come down and test this level here. But certainly 4300 will offer some resistance because that's the 0.786% or the 78.6% retracement of the whole move up to 20,000. So it's certainly 4300 is a point where I would be taking profits as a short, and from there onwards, price is probably going to move more sideways rather than downwards. It's not as attractive to short, to be honest. I'd be looking more for a potential bottom, so that would be what I'll be focusing on after 4300. That said, price could really come down to 3000, and who knows, it may come down lower. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the reason that was my forecast was because if we again just have a look at 2014, so we can see here, this is our WX wave finished here with the triangle. This is our Y wave. So far, we've really replicated 2014. The W and the X wave have been identical, and so why would we question that Y wave will be any different? So the Y wave was a 0.382 extension, as I mentioned, almost to the point right there. So that's the reason for that 3200 really being my target as a 0.382 extension of wave W. Yeah, so that's my forecast, guys. That's what I'm looking out for. As I say, it's not easy to get in on the short if you've missed it already. If you're happy to trade with wide stops with a stop at around 7100, essentially above this pitchfork upper median line here, then that's fine. Alternatively, if you like tight stops, then you want to look for these numbers here, these potential reversal points that I plotted. Alright, so that summarizes it really, guys. So yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more active on Twitter as well, trying to put the odd update on there. So if you're not following me on there, try and keep an eye out there, because I'll put a few updates for when I don't have time to make a video. And I'll try and put out a few trading tips every now and then, so hopefully that'll be useful for you guys. But anyway, thank you very much for the support. Channel's growing very nicely, and yeah, until next time, take care, guys.